Welcome back, everybody. I'm Jay. He's Maddie. This is Yankee and the Brit, and we are already at week 12.
Yeah, welcome in, guys, to the Yankee and the Brit Thursday night football preview show where we go over our reactions to week 11 of NFL football before looking ahead to week 12 Thursday night football, which tonight, Jay, is the Houston Texans against the Buffalo Bills. We might actually have a decent game for once on Thursday night football, a decent game this season, but we will get into that in the second half of the show, followed up by our best bets looking into week 12 as well. So stay tuned for all of that.
It can go either way with this game, but I got a kind of a little personal rant from here in Green Bay that I need to get off my chest here quick. So Green Bay East decided to fire Coach Nico. And they had a big discussion. He fought it. The school board got involved. And I want to point out why they fired Coach Nico and point out that this is the exact problem we have nowadays and that we're getting rid of good people from good jobs over dumb shit. So the reason this man was fired was because he was making the football players do push-ups for cursing. This man was fired because he was giving students a ride home so they didn't have to stand in the dark waiting for parents who may never show up. This man was fired for feeding children who didn't have food and were hungry. I don't know, man. Yeah. This is crazy to me that this is why he was fired, because these are all three violations of some stupid fucking code and rules they have that you're not allowed to help the children. So when we do get a good coach who everybody in our community is sticking up for that knows him is like, he is great, he does great things with the kids, this is the dumb shit they're firing him for.
Yeah, obviously, I myself am a teacher. I don't know whether anybody else knows that, but Jay knows that I am a teacher. Like, that is my career. Safeguarding is a massive thing in the teaching world, and it's obviously really important that we put in the best rules and look after the kids in the best way and stuff like that. But there has to be some semblance of just common sense and some critical thinking that goes into that. There's also a difference between coaches and teachers a lot of the time. A lot of the time, coaches, especially from what I see in the States, are dealing with the most disadvantaged students quite regularly, because that's what happens in the sporting world. And actually what seems to happen a lot of the time from what I've seen is they replace a father figure in some kids' lives and stuff like that. And that kind of stuff is really important as well. So it is a bit to have a coach on. Safeguarding is really important. And if things are being reported about that, and if the parents have an issue, it should be immediately being looked into. But then boards need to back their teachers, boards need to back their coaches over this kind of stuff, and they don't. They completely fail to. And it's a big problem everywhere, and it's making teachers leave the profession. It means you lose good teachers all the time because there's too much paperwork around everything they're trying to do.
And I agree, you got to protect kids, but the whole community is behind him. Not one single negative thing has he been accused of, right? He hasn't been accused of physically or sexually or mentally abusing anybody. He's just accused of him and his family being a good guy. And even if the school board and the school felt that he violated some rules, there's no other punishment besides firing him.
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, you just have to have some semblance of like codes are great. They're really important. They're really important to have, but you've got to apply everything with common sense as you go forward. And as a teacher, that kind of stuff makes my blood absolutely boil. I remember I wasn't allowed to teach for a week. I was just in the office on lesson planning duty and material creation duty. I was just in the office for a week because a kid who had like safeguarding stuff around them, she wasn't allowed to leave the school early. And she was in my form. She tried to leave the school early. So I followed her, and she shouted down the corridors like, Mr. Waters is a pedo, all the way down the corridors. And then, which obviously he's following me. Mr. Waters is a pedo. So obviously I had to be investigated for a week for what was obviously a child just shouting something just because they were annoyed that I was trying to make sure they didn't leave the school early because they're in a particular situation. But so I know how this guy feels.
All right, my rant's over. It just pisses me off that like you finally find somebody who's good for the kids and then they get fired over dumb shit. Like it's just wild to me.
Yeah. Right, let's move in to the National Football League and let's head in to the Cleveland Browns versus the Baltimore Ravens as we start up. Jay, we're going to talk about Shedeur Sanders, but let's just take a quick break to talk about everything else that happened in that game. Jay, is Myles Garret a Hall of Famer if he retired tomorrow?
He was a Hall of Famer if he didn't come back this year, right? Like we all know he's one of the greatest to do it. And he's done it on a really crappy team too, but he still puts up numbers. I mean, granted, they have a good defense, but it's a really crappy team. So the defense is like getting overworked and he still figures out how to put numbers. And he's not just a guy who puts up numbers. He affects the game. He changes the game. He changes it in run and pass. Like he is a complete wrecker of an offense. So yes, to me, first ballot Hall of Famer.
Yeah, for me, I'm not a big sacks guy personally, but like, sacks are a great way to show if someone's having a dominant game. Like one sack here and there doesn't really do it for me. I'd rather see like kind of the pressure stats and how much pressure you're getting on quarterbacks because then you're giving other people. But once you start to get into 4 sack games, 10 sacks on the season, most sacks in the league, then I'm like, okay, this guy's dominant week to week to week. He's getting loads of pressure. And one of the big things people used to have a go at Myles Garret for was the fact he wasn't getting those sack totals. And it was like, yeah, because he gets all the pressure and everybody just runs the other way. Like he's still amazing. He's still amazing every single time. But now, Jay, he's not. I think the stat is he's now passed Lawrence Taylor for the most consecutive double-digit sack seasons, and it's like 11 seasons in a. It's like 10 seasons in a row with double-digit sacks, and he's just passed LT. So for me, he's clearly one of the best of all time, Myles Garret. And Jay, let's talk about Lamar Jackson and the Baltimore Ravens a little bit before we get into the big topic of this game. The Ravens offense struggled again. They needed that Mark Andrews crazy tush push variation to like get over the line against the Ravens. But they had Lamar back. They struggled. Jay, will they get better in the weeks to come?
I don't think so. And so Scarface, big Ravens fan, he made a post today talking about how he still thinks it looks like Lamar's hurt. And I was thinking about this, and sure, Lamar's probably not 100%. But then I started thinking about the Ravens offense, and I'm like, I love Zay. Zay is a great receiver. Bateman's okay, but Andrews likely, that's kind of where the offense runs through in the passing game. And it's like you need more weapons on the outside for Lamar, because if you get a team like the Browns who can can press down on the tight ends and make sure that the tight ends struggle all day, it makes Lamar struggle even more. And then when the running game doesn't get going, now Lamar has to play this hero ball, which that's a bad defense to try to play hero ball. I know the Browns are complete cheeks, but it's not their defense that's cheeks. It's because their offense is so bad that they're that bad.
Yeah, and I think with the Lamar Jackson stuff, it's like he can play hero ball. It's Lamar Jackson can play hero ball, but can he do it consistently all the time? Like where he's actually best is when he's in that pocket passer and then having design runs and scrambling out and stuff like that. That's when he's actually at his best. And they do have those weapons there. I'm surprised that the Ravens struggled so much, but Jay, it's probably somewhere in the middle. The Browns are a great defense, and their offense is struggling. It's probably going to look better in weeks to come. Let's put that.
But I mean,
again. I think that's.
I meant overall, like the way that offense is overall. I don't think we're going to see this big explosion. I think we were expecting something at the beginning of the year. We've never got it, and I don't think we're going to get there before the playoffs.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are taking the Ravens on what they thought the Ravens were going to be rather than what the Ravens
And they were my Super Bowl pick.
They're still doing it. Yeah.
They were my preseason Super Bowl pick.
Yeah, it's still going through. I mean, they did get the win, and it was a great play from Mark Andrews to get over the line. I
That
would
part.
say they do have a real wide receiver one. Like I would say Zay Flowers is a wide receiver one. Like he has the talent, he gets open a lot, and he has decent hands. Zay
I
Flowers,
think he's
right?
see for me. I think he's like the number 2, the 1A, like that takes the
One
top
and a
off.
half.
And I think if you
Yeah.
got a guy like, say, we'll get to him later, I'm sure, but if you got a guy like Pickens on the other side, I think Pickens right now, top 5 receiver in the NFL. So that's a whole different thing. But you get what I'm saying. If you put him over there, like it changes life for Lamar and for Zay because you can't double Zay anymore. Now Zay becomes an uncoverable Tyreek Hill without the same speed. But you know what I mean? How Tyreek at time was uncoverable. Well, if you're doubling Pickens or somebody to that ilk, then Zay becomes that guy where you can't double him. And what do?
I just think whenever we watch Zay play, so I have Zay Flowers on my fantasy team. So I've been watching him a lot. Zay Flowers actually does run open a lot of the time and is actually just not hit. Like Zay Flowers does find open spots, especially against zone defenses. He finds those open spots a lot of the time and he's not hit in those positions. And, you know, when someone's your fantasy wide receiver and you're trying to I have lots of wide receivers in my team, so I'm trying to decide which wide receivers to play. I'm watching him a lot, and I'm wanting him to be throwing the ball all the time, and every single time I want him to be throwing the ball. So I know I'm a bit biased, but I do feel like he is open and should be getting hit sometimes. And sometimes Lamar looks to run maybe a bit too early. I think they have D-Hop as well for red zone touches. Rashawn Bateman's a down the field guy as well. I think they've been supplied with enough weapons to be better. The O-line point, I do get. Like the O-line point, I do understand.
I think if you took away D-Hop's name, and no offense to him, he's 5th on a depth chart on every team, and he keeps just getting time because he's Hopkins.
Yeah, I do think that's fair. Overall, let's quickly head to this question about the Bills game, which we'll be getting to at the end of the podcast, but good to chat about just now while we have a question about. I love the name, by the way, Durag Dayball. That's fun. Commiserations on the sacking. Maybe if he wore a Durag, he'd still be in employment right now. But Jay, Buffalo -5.5. That's what they are tonight. Josh Allen and James Cook to get a touchdown on this stellar Houston Texans defense. What do you think on that one?
I like the pick of Buffalo. You can't be mad at somebody with going with Buffalo. I do have questions about their defense at times. But they do have all this offense. And I've been screaming since the beginning of the year, run this offense through James Cook. You make Josh Allen's life so much easier. Cook is one of the top running backs, but he doesn't get the respect from his own team that he should when it comes to touches. They have in recent weeks been going more through Cook. I think you need to get him the ball early and often, and I think it opens up everything else because, again, we've talked about the Browns. They're a team like the Packers. They're loaded with really good receivers, but nobody that you can look to at crunch time and go, I'm just going to throw the ball up to him and he's going to go make a play. Because at least when Stephon, not as last year, but at least with Stephon Diggs there was a receiver when Josh Allen was in trouble. He could just throw it to an area and let Stephon Diggs go get it. You see it with Mr. I spit in people's face, Jamar Chase. You can just throw it up to him. You can just throw it up to Pickens. There's guys in the league that you can just toss the ball up to when you're in trouble. I think if they had another guy like that, it'd make it easier. And since they don't, I feel like you got to start that offense through James Cook.
Yeah, and with picking the Bills at 5.5, I think probably the smart money is on the Bills. The Texans defense is so good, but that offensive production just isn't really there. And the Bills have like a good enough defense. So I think the smart money is there. It's always good money to put Josh Allen on a touchdown. I think he has, what's he got? Like he's like top 10. He's definitely top 10 in rushing touchdowns in NFL history. Only 9 years into his career as well. And I worry about the James Cook one because the Texans offense is really good, but I don't think you're cooked. No, I don't think you're cooked just yet. I think it's there. I think it's definitely there. But Jay, let's move on to the Browns side of the ball now instead of talking about the Ravens. And the biggest question for the Browns is, Shedeur Sanders. Dylan Gabriel goes out with a concussion, and it's almost like the dog pound cheered Dylan Gabriel's concussion because they knew it was time for Shedeur Sanders. Jay, was the Shedeur Sanders hype too much?
I don't think it has anything to do with Shedeur, right? You get thrown in the middle of a game. You got to play the Ravens. You got to try to like figure it out on the fly. You didn't get any first team reps. You haven't been practicing with the first team. You know what I mean? You're just there running the scout team during the week. You're there to help the starter. I think it's unfair to judge Shedeur off of this game. I think it's really unfair to judge a rookie quarterback who's been put in a bad situation from the start to be judged on coming into the middle of a game against the Ravens and trying to figure it out. I think that's a rough ask for anybody, but you know how it is. We don't give young kids time to develop at the quarterback position anymore. It's a wild situation. We see it in Minnesota right now. You know, I mean, it's crazy that the media is just out there like crushing these rookies, or in JJ's case, second-year guy who missed his first year, without giving them a chance to develop. It's wild.
Yeah, I think I think Shedeur, I think the hype was way too much around him. Like I think him coming onto the field to all those cheers, people holding signs for 12 when you're the Cleveland Browns, I think that it causes a problem. Fan bases need to stop causing their teams problems. They've got oligarchs that run the organizations causing the players enough problems. The fans could do without adding to those issues as well. And I know all fans get excited about their guys. And look, Cleveland fans need more hope than anybody a lot of the time. So seeing Shedeur Sanders as this hope as he runs onto the field and doing this chanting, holding 12 signs in the air while Dylan Gabriel is playing, I think that's just it's just a bad look, and it's just going to be bad from the start. And look, Shedeur Sanders had maybe one of the roughest debuts that I've ever seen. Like four completion, 4 from 12 with a really ugly interception thrown in there. Could have been another one that he threw to Kyle Hamilton that Kyle Hamilton dropped as well. All the problems that Shedeur had in college exhibited themselves immediately in that game, with him dropping so far back that he destroys his own pocket against an offensive line that already isn't great. But no, I don't think Shedeur Sanders is to blame for that. I think it would be a lot to ask Shedeur Sanders to come out and play well. And I think the real look at Shedeur comes this week, now that we've got it coming in. But I do think like the fans have to take some blame as to how this is kind of all blown up. You saw Shedeur on the sidelines after the game. Shedeur Sanders on the sidelines after the game with head in hands after making his NFL debut. All right, it was a bit shit. You know, and look, he could have had a touchdown. He throws a great ball that is knocked away at the last minute. He could have had a touchdown. It could have happened. But that hype at the start is what crushes rookie quarterbacks. And then obviously just terrible organizations like the Browns being terrible organizations, like the Browns and not prepping people properly. On the other side of that, Jay, I don't know whether you've seen this. Have you seen the stuff where it's like, well, Josh Dobbs came in and won a game without a practice. Baker Mayfield landed on the day, like basically on the night before the game and came in and balled out for the Rams and stuff like that. Like that kind of stuff is ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, I don't get those comments. Also, let's not forget that Baker had how many games in the NFL before that happened.
Exactly.
And Josh Dobbs coming in and winning a game was a complete shit show.
Yeah, what was stupid about that is that it's people saying, well, you know, the backup quarterback is only one play away. He's only one play away. And it's like, yes, but the backup quarterback is usually a guy who's been a backup quarterback for 10 seasons. You don't have the rookie as your backup quarterback unless you're planning on playing him at some point. He's not been made a rookie to be your backup quarterback forever. Like that, like it blows my mind. So guys who were giving Shedeur a massive pass for the whole thing, he was shit. He was really bad, and it was the problems that he had from colleges. So he doesn't get a whole pass for it. But guys who are judging his entire career off that game, you need to chill out. The extremes on both sides ruining football again, Jay. But Jay, how do you think he's going to perform in the next game if you had to choose now before we obviously talk about it on Sunday as well? How do you think he's going to go against the Raiders?
I think it's a good team to go against to get right. And I think we'll see a better Shedeur. I think they'll have him prepared. And the game plan will be built around his strengths instead of Dylan Gabriel's. I know people think that they can just switch up what they're going to do in the middle of a game, but you can't.
Yeah.
And usually your backup quarterback is similar to your starter because, like you said, they're there to be a backup. But when you have two rookies and you're trying to figure out who your starter is, they both have different strengths. We will see a better Shedeur Sanders. I don't know how good of a Shedeur Sanders we'll see, but it'll definitely be better than the one we just saw.
Yeah, and if all Shedeur needs to work on is getting better from the stuff that he struggled with at college. And a guy to do that against is Max Crosby and this Raiders defensive line, because they're not terrible because they've got Max Crosby, but they've only got Max Crosby. So just get rid of the ball faster and don't run into Max Crosby. Don't roll out into Max Crosby's hands. And that's already an improvement from what we've seen at college with Shedeur handling pressure. Because the big question is, was it the Colorado State offensive line or was it Shedeur Sanders? And the answer is, as always, is probably it's a bit of both. Jay, the Dallas Cowboys got a win against the Las Vegas Raiders. Jay, I don't know whether you've seen the title, but it's the Dallas Cowboys are playoff bound. I might have overreacted a little bit to this game, but we'll find out after these questions. Does the Dallas Cowboys defensive tackle room fix their defense entirely?
I mean, it fixes part of the problem. It doesn't fix the whole thing because I still think they need another pass rusher. But your title's a little wild because maybe you just didn't look at the murderous row of games you have coming up. But besides that, I mean, I don't know, because that's a pretty rough fucking road ahead that you have. I think the next 3 games, right, are real gangster. So,
yeah, it's Eagles, Chiefs, Lions.
Yeah, so have fun with that.
Yeah. Let's face it, Jay. If you put the Dallas Cowboys in a title, they get even more outrageous. They get views because people want to come and argue with you. So that's why it's there. But we'll talk about that. But Jay, I think that Dallas Cowboys tackles room, all 3 defensive tackles, Kenny Clark, Kenyon Williams, and Odigizua, all ended up with a sack to end that game. And it's just like, yes, this is what we needed. It's pressure up the middle. Williams came on. Like, if you just watch the tape on his, like just his performance, he was amazing and he makes everyone better. Azaraku comes in and gets a half sack, maybe gets a sack as well, gets pressure because they can't be pushing out the guards because they're having a double in the middle every single time. But the Las Vegas Raiders interior offensive line is cheeks, is terrible. Like, they are so bad. So it is great to see that we can do that. It's great to see that we had 3 defensive tackles on the field at the time, and all 3 of them came away with a sack. It's doable. It's just it means that the coverage doesn't have to hold on for as long as well. And when we go and get our rookie cornerback next year in the first round, one of our 2 first-round picks in the draft, it means they're not having to stay in coverage forever. It just gives us a chance, and it gives this offense a chance to be in games as well. And it means we can defend the run. Poor Genty, like, was getting hit behind the line on every single play. Like, he was getting nowhere near it. So I do think the defensive tackles do revitalize this Dallas Cowboys defense. It's as a Dallas Cowboys fan, Jay, seeing the Dallas Cowboys with 3 D tackles that can actually play is amazing. Like, it's something that I've never seen before as a Dallas Cowboys fan. Jay, you've already kind of mentioned it, but should the Cowboys re-sign George Pickens? You've already claimed that George Pickens is a top 5 wide receiver in the league, which would give us 2 of the top 5, right? Well,
not right now, but yeah, okay. I mean, George Pickens is better than CeeDee Lamb right now.
This season,
George Pickens is balling, and they should have signed him a week ago. They should have gave him $35 million before he wants $40 million in the offseason. And then you have to franchise him, and then you have to overpay him, and then you're in the Micah situation again. How about you get him right now, get him in, structure this so that you can make moves in the offseason. He seems happy. It is a good time to get him signed. Go get it done. I am not talking to Jerry because he's a psycho. Steven, listen, get this man signed. Just get it done. You already know you need to keep him because you cannot let one of the top 5 players at any position walk away if you can save it before it gets dysfunctional. You already let it get dysfunctional with Micah, which you should never do with a top 5 player. Get it taken care of right now. Let's not see this craziness all over again.
Yeah, and with George Pickens as well, I do think that George Pickens would be interested because he had the talent in Pittsburgh. He had the talent. He saw it, and in Dallas, he's showing it. He's able to show it, and Dallas are making him able to show it with CD on one side, George Pickens on the other. I mean, they clearly like hanging out with each other almost to a fault. With the fact that they had to lose, they missed out on the first drive of the game as well for showing up late to meetings. So they're clearly one and the same. In that respect as well. And just with Javonte Williams, Jake Ferguson, Dak Prescott playing one of the best seasons in his career, let's just keep this offense together because the only problem I've seen, and Jay, I'll put this up as a question for you before I come in and give my answer as well, but what I've seen a lot of people say is if they sign George Pickens, the Dallas Cowboys fall into the same trap that the Bengals have fallen into, signing T. Higgins to that huge contract with Jamar Chase, and then you just have a terrible defense. Can the Cowboys afford to get George Pickens and CeeDee Lamb on the same team in the same way that the Cincinnati Bengals did?
Yeah, because you have the opportunity, if you do it now, to structure it so it doesn't crush you. And then you're getting younger on the defensive end with the defensive side with your 2 first-round picks next year. I would have to think that unless it's a running back in the 3rd or 4th round, that most of your picks get thrown at that defense, especially your high ones. So I feel like this is one of those things too, where if you can get Dak to like be really happy what's going on, maybe you can get him to take a slight hometown discount because he is getting into the back half of his career. He did get paid at the front end. There is times where quarterbacks will take some less money because they're like, this team legitimately has a shot at a Super Bowl. Let's go get this. Because you can only spend so much money in your lifetime, and how much is a Super Bowl ring worth to you?
Yeah, and I think the thing that comes into the Cowboys with Dak Prescott is, Dak, you've rinsed us. You've made all your money. And as a quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys, there is any job you want in the media coming for you afterwards. Like if you want that job, it is there for you. It's coming afterwards because you were the quarterback of the Dallas Cowboys for a long period of time. So that's there as well. I do think his contract probably gets cheaper. But the big thing here is, Jay, the Dallas Cowboys can draft players. Drafting has never been the Dallas Cowboys' problem. Like, it's signing these players. They can draft players, and they have the draft picks to do it. In the next draft, they can go and fix this defense by drafting the correct players, which is something that the Bengals have not been able to do. So the Bengals have this really top-heavy offensive structure, and then they don't have the talent to back it up from their draft picks. But Tyler Booker the first-round pick at guard, he's come out and he's playing really well this season. Ezeraku is looking really good on the defensive end as well. Like, they've come out and they've drafted well again, the Dallas Cowboys, and you've got to think that they'll continue to do this. And Jay, this draft is stacked at cornerback, safety, and linebacker. So they are able to fix those issues in the draft as well. So I think they should re-sign George Pickens, and I think they can, and I think it does make sense for the Dallas Cowboys. Jay, we've both kind of alluded to it. Jay, are the Dallas Cowboys good enough to get to the playoffs? They currently have an 11% chance of making it if they win on Sunday.
So right now, the Cowboys have about $50 million in cap room going into next year. If they just restructure Dak, they'll be at $90 million cap space.
Well, that's enough. Yeah, that's enough. Just go sign George Pickens. It's done. They should, and you're right. They should do it tomorrow. I don't want to be in the Zeke situation, the Dak situation, the Micah situation again. Sign George Pickens tomorrow. But Jay, are the Dallas Cowboys good enough to make it to the playoffs?
Yes, I think they'll be in the fight for the playoffs at the end of the year. I absolutely do. If they make it or not, it's going to come down how they play at the back end. And if you guys somehow can come out this next 3 games at like 2-1, like you're in a whole better situation.
Yeah. They're currently listed as having an 11% chance to make the playoffs if they win on Sunday against the Eagles. So it's currently like a 6% chance. It's a 3% chance if they lose. I don't know how the NFL calculates those things. To me, it screams of the Cincinnati Bengals last year, like where they just get a little bit better on the defense and then they make it and then they lose out in the last game. But yeah, Jay, go on.
And then your schedule does get easier. You go Vikings, Chargers.
Chargers. Yeah,
I forget who else,
Vikings,
but it gets
easier. Yeah, Vikings, Chargers, Commanders, Giants. Is the final bit of the.
You go 2-1. You literally could go 6-1 in those, But you even go 1-2. You literally could go 4-2 through the next 6 games.
Yeah, I mean, important to say that it's the Eagles and the Chiefs at home. Like the Dallas Cowboys are much better at home as well, so it is important to say that. But we'll see kind of where that comes up to. I'm not sure whether they're good enough. I think they've got these next 3 games are really difficult, and if they win all 3, then yeah, easily good enough. But they'll need some special stuff to happen to make it to the playoffs from there.
But you think about it, you beat the Vikings, you beat the Commanders, you beat those teams. Those are teams that you're making sure that you have the tiebreaker against too when it comes to playoffs.
Yeah, they have the players to do it now, is what I like. Like they have the players on the defensive side of the ball to do it now. Like it is doable. Like there is talent on the defensive side of the ball now. So we'll see. But
hey, as they say on Dumb and Dumber, you're saying there's a chance.
You're saying there's a chance. I love that. Jay, the Los Angeles Rams went up against the Seattle Seahawks. And Jay, did we see why the Vikings gave up on Sam Darnold?
We did. We saw Sam Darnold doing Sam Darnold shit, and he did the same shit 2 times against the Rams last year for the Vikings. Same thing. Bad play, bad decisions. Sam Darnold has all this talent, and he still does Sam Darnold shit at the worst possible time.
Yeah, and it looks like all the media can come out and say everything they want about JJ McCarthy, but the Vikings don't know what they've got with JJ McCarthy yet, but they know that this is possible with Sam Darnold. And to get a Super Bowl in the NFC, chances are you're going to have to play the Rams at some point, right? And if the Rams have got his number to this extent, where it's this bad, they're responsible for 2 of the 3 worst games he's played in the last 2 years. Then that's going to happen as well. Not to forget, Jay, he also had that 4 interception game against the Houston Texans where the Seahawks somehow managed to win the game as well. When the wheels fall off for Sam Darnold, it is really, really bad, And the Vikings almost have this thing where it's like JJ McCarthy is like Sam Darnold in reverse currently. It's like JJ McCarthy, his base level is not good. Like when the pressure is off, he's struggling currently. And then as soon as the pressure comes on in the 4th quarter, it's Bo Nix as well. As soon as the pressure comes on, JJ starts to play lights out. The Vikings drop passes that could have won the game. Like for the Vikings there. Like JJ made the plays
9 drops.
The 4th quarter. Yeah, whereas 9 drops, exactly. And including ones in the 4th quarter where JJ made the plays, right? And JJ got them in front at the last point, and then there was a big kick return that got them within that got the Bears within field goal range as well. It's like the Vikings moved on from Sam Darnold because he doesn't do that in those big pressure moments. And look, he had a lot of game-winning drives for the Vikings as well, but they were against teams that they should have been winning against anyway in some of those games as well. And Sam Darnold played really well for the Vikings. too, but they knew what they had, and this was it. Jay, are you worried about the Seattle Seahawks after this game, after watching Sam Darnold throw 4 interceptions?
Well, first I'll just say, I don't know if people think that teams like the Vikings or stuff who move on from quarterbacks, are they trying to go to the playoffs or are they trying to win Super Bowls? Because that's the question, right? Because Sam Darnold can get you to the playoffs. Sam Darnold win you a game or two in the playoffs, but do you think you can win a Super Bowl? And that's the question that I have with Seattle. So does this make me work? No, this is exactly what I thought Seattle was. They're going to be a really good team at times, and they're only going to go as far as Sam Darnold's decision-making takes them. And can Sam Darnold play a clean game in the most important games to get you to where you need to be? That's the question. Right now, we'd say no, but that doesn't mean that it can't change at some point, right? Like, he could go on a run in the playoffs with Seattle because that team is good, and they could win a Super Bowl. So and nothing's changed from where I was a couple weeks ago. They're really good, but they're just going to go as far as Sam Darnold's decision-making takes them.
Yeah, for me, I think it's also important to notice that, like, Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions and they only lost this game by 2 points. Like, that's part of it, right? Like, Sam Darnold, your quarterback throws 4 interceptions and you only lose the game by 2 points. And Jay, they had a chance to win it. They had the drive. The defense made the stand. They had the drive to win it. It's just the Rams punter puts it right in coffin corner at the end of the game at the half-yard line. They have to start a drive where it needs to end in a field goal. And actually, if they had Brandon Aubrey, they had a 61-yard field goal to win the game as well. That was missed. So it's not like they didn't have the chances to win, considering Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions as well. So they're clearly a good football team. They clearly have what it takes. Sam Darnold is still, like, he threw for 279 yards. Jackson Smith and Jigba still got his 106 yards. I think he has a real blind spot for the Rams. And he really struggled against that Lions defense as well. And when he struggles, it gets bad, like, quite quickly in pressure situations as well. But I'm not worried about the Seahawks as a whole because they still had a chance to win that game. Jay, the Rams won this game. Their defense looks stellar. Does this make the Rams the best team in the NFC?
They're one of the top 3 teams in the NFC in no particular order. I think we're at that point, though, like, because I got questions about all the top teams, but I think they all have a shot to make a run, right? And for me, it's the Rams, it's the Eagles, it's the 49ers, but I have questions about all of them. And I also think Seattle's in there, but after this week, I have a hard time just talking about Seattle in there after 4 picks. But I think Seattle's in that mix, too. I think they're the 4 best teams. And I think the Lions are in there. So I think your top 5 teams actually right now could probably run in any order. So I'm not mad if somebody puts the Rams in that.
Yeah, I think the whole NFC is just a weird. Actually, the whole NFL currently is a bit more topsy-turvy. Like, normally we have an idea who all the best teams are, but all the best teams currently have huge question marks next to them. I mean, the Eagles have the best record in the NFC. How functional is their offense? We'll talk about that in a second. The Rams have a great defense and they have all of these offensive weapons, but they keep on playing close games that shouldn't be as close as they are. So what's going on there? On the AFC, you have the Broncos. Like, the defense is stellar. Bo Nix can only play in the 4th quarter. You have the Chiefs. You have the Bills. There's so many question marks around all of these teams. So, but I think the Rams are probably definitely one of the better teams in the NFC. Talking about 2 of the better teams in the NFC, Jay, the Philadelphia Eagles went up against the Detroit Lions, Jay, and did this game highlight all of the issues we have with Dan Campbell?
Okay, if this motherfucker knew how to punt the ball and let his team play for field position, this might have been a different game. Like, what are you doing? You're getting stopped. What did he get stopped 4 times on 4th down? It is just insanely bad decision-making. I don't understand what was going on. And Dan Campbell made me want to come through the fucking screen. And you're not scheming anybody open anymore. Why do you have St. Brown on your team if you're not scheming him open? Why are you not using Jahmyr Gibbs in different ways? Like, I don't get what was going on. you have a speedster in Williamson. Like, I don't get what's going on in Detroit. They had a game a couple weeks ago where they looked like everything was clicking. It looked like the old Ben Johnson offense, and then all of a sudden it seems like they forgot how to play that type of football.
Yeah, and I think some of that is down to the fact that the Eagles get so much pressure, and Jared Goff just seemed to struggle with that pressure in this game.
Last year, he was the best in the league at throwing under pressure.
Against pressure. Yeah, exactly. There was something that happened at the end of this game though, where he particularly struggled against pressure just in this game, and I'm not sure what that was. But Jay, for me, we saw Dan Campbell as an offensive coordinator, as an offensive play caller, and it's why he should just be the head coach guy. He should just be the head coach guy when he's coming up. This is a great comment here. From David. Dan Campbell was paying attention to the crowd when it came to fourth down. Jay, it wasn't 4 times, it was 5 times. They went 0-5 on fourth down.
Even worse.
0-5 on fourth down in this game. And in games where the Lions have to play shootouts and stuff, and they have this stellar offense and they have to play shootouts, that's fine. The Eagles couldn't move the fucking ball. They weren't going anywhere. The Eagles weren't going anywhere. Put them further down into territory, force them to take a 3 and out, and then you have a better chance of getting a field goal. This was an old-fashioned game where defense was taking on defense the entire time. The Eagles couldn't move the ball. Stop going up. Stay with your principles for the first period of time, and then change. And he just doesn't change with the way that they go.
I don't know if you remember the comment I hit in the group chat, but I said, I'm starting to think the punter fucked Dan Campbell's girl.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going on. Like, it is just poor decision making. And this is the stuff that you and I talked about in previous years with Dan Campbell. You make bad decisions which compound, and they don't seem as bad of a decision in the moment, but then when you look back at the totality of the game, you're like, if you would have just punted that 3 times and played field position, we might have a whole different ball game. Like, I don't understand, like, especially if you keep getting stopped. Why do you keep going against it? Definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over, expecting a different result. Like, this is the stuff that we've been bitching about Dan Campbell for some years. We're like, man, he's a great rah-rah guy, and they love him. But at some point, this shit's going to wear thin if you can't get over the hump.
Yeah, and just summing it up there from David as well. You can't win playoff games playing like that. And I mean,
sorry,
they have won. They have
put it on the screen. You already did.
They have won plenty of playoff games playing that way. I don't hate the aggressive style. The aggressive style is fine. He's just over emotional with it. Like, he almost takes it as an offense when he gets stopped. That he's then saying, okay, I need to go again. It's the Dallas Cowboys game for me that just shows it every single time.
But this is a great showing of contrast. The Eagles are aggressive as fuck, but they pick and choose when to be aggressive too. And yes, they have made bad decisions in the past that have hurt them, but it's not a consistent thing. So we're okay if you're an aggressive team and you do something that we all don't agree with, even if it doesn't work at times. But when it's repeatedly the same thing over and over, and it's not just this season, we've seen in the past. And like you bring up the Cowboys game, that we got fucked by the refs, so I'm just going to keep doing the same thing over and over to prove somebody wrong. I'm not even sure who he was trying to prove wrong at that point, but there was some kind of point he was trying to make in that game. And we've seen other games where he does the same thing. And you're right, leading by emotion is horrible at times because it makes you make bad decisions. I mean, I like Sirianni's emotion, but again, Sirianni's a guy who's just running the team. He's not calling the plays. So again, you can be more emotional when you're the head coach than you are if you're the play caller. If you look through history, the best play callers we've had in this league on both sides of the ball, they might be emotional dudes, but they don't get emotional while making decisions on the sideline, right? They might be emotional after something works or if a bad call, but you don't see either of the Shanahans. You don't see McVay losing his shit in the middle of a game. You don't see these best play callers in the league. You don't see D'Amico Ryans or Brian Flores or any of these defensive guys losing their shit in the middle of a game, because they understand that you fuck up one play with emotions, it can snowball, and this is what happens to Dan Campbell. And I swear I've used the term snowball with Dan Campbell more than anybody in the history of my life.
Yeah, and I think with Dan Campbell, actually, sorry to bring this to cricket, the Ashes start against Australia. It's a really big deal. It starts in about 2 hours, 3 hours.
Yeah,
time.
this is how little we watch cricket. When you said sorry to bring this to cricket, I thought about the phone company instantly.
No, sorry, the sport. Sorry to bring this to cricket, but it reminds me of England's current cricket captain took over. I think it's 2-3 years ago now, and came out and started playing this ultra aggressive style. It's like we try and hit a home run on every play. We swing at everything just to like give it a baseball tinge, but we just swing at everything no matter what, because they were playing such a passive style before. And he came out and they did that, and they were losing games because they were doing that. But they were in games that they never would have been in because they're doing it, and then they're losing. But as they got into that aggressive mindset and came away from the passive thing, he then started dialing it back a little bit, because it was just to get them in. You go uber aggressive to start off to set the culture, and then you bring it back into, okay, now we're thinking, now we are aggressive. We're a more aggressive team. We're coming out of the passive thing, but now we're changing it into how to actually win games. And Dan Campbell, I think when I watch his team, and I remember saying it loads last year in the playoffs, he's still playing this underdog ball, and they're no longer the underdog. Like, they need to stop always playing underdog ball, because they're no longer the underdog as they go through. And let's just talk about some other stuff in this game other than just the fourth down. Also, sorry, I know I just said moving on, but just 1 second. Get better on third down as well. Like, get better offensive production on third down is also important to mention here. They went 3 of 13 on third down as well, which is like really bad. And then you're not in these fourth down situations. But
again, why are we not scheming Amon St. Brown open?
Yeah, Jay, why have the Lions been so offensively inconsistent this season? Like, as you say, some games they're putting up 40, like they just put up 44 against the Commanders. Like, I know the Commanders are terrible, but and then they only put up 24 against the Vikings, and they lose that game. And then it's where's the other Lions game that I was looking for? Yeah, but the 24 against the Bucs. How come they're so offensively inconsistent throughout this season?
Lion fans are not going to want to hear this, but because they didn't have enough balls to let Dan Campbell go and hire Ben Johnson.
Yeah, I mean, look who's currently top of the NFC North. Who's the head coach?
Just like the Vikings back in the day discussed firing Brad Childress and hiring Mike Tomlin from their defensive backs coach to their head coach. They hesitated. He ended up with the Steelers for how many fucking years now. So, like, these teams are afraid to move on, and I don't blame them. It's hard to move on from Dan Campbell. I'm not saying as an owner I could have done it, but that's the problem. Like, you let Ben Johnson out the door, and you let an elite play caller out the door, and it hurts. And we talked about it this beginning of the year. How much is losing these coordinators going to hurt? And we talked about, like, okay, we're seeing it come on. We had a couple games where, like, okay, this is where we're seeing it now, though, is when you're playing the best teams, it really becomes a glaring weakness, right? When you're playing teams that know how to win on a consistent basis. And we can talk about in a second how the Eagles figure out a way to win, even though it's been ugly. But these are the teams that you're not performing your best at, and this is where the lack of having Ben Johnson is really showing.
Yeah, and proved by Dan Campbell having to take over offensive coordinating as well. Like, he wasn't doing that last year. He was able to look from 10,000 feet down while Ben Johnson was in doing the nitty gritty and stuff. I agree with you. We were saying at the start of the year, you get that hangover from the offensive coordinator throughout the first part of the year, and then it starts to fade off as you go through the year, and that's what seems to happen. That's what seems to have happened with the Lions. Talking about inconsistent defense, the Philadelphia Eagles won this game, but it wasn't pretty. It was 16 points, and I think the Eagles currently have the third most 3-and-outs in the league this season, and it's like the second most drives that end in punts this season, and they're currently 8-2. Jay, the Eagles keep on winning. Should we just stop asking questions about the offense at this point? I mean, in the organization, they're all asking questions about it, but they keep winning.
No, I don't think you stop asking questions because they're legitimate questions, right? But they do keep figuring out a way to win. But what we're seeing, I don't think is sustainable through the playoffs. So they have to figure out what's going on before the playoffs get here. But what I will say is when you're the Eagles, when you're the Chiefs, when you're teams like that, I give you the benefit of the doubt moving forward because you have proved to me that you don't have to have the most explosive regular season to figure it out by the playoffs. Sometimes for teams like this, just getting into the playoffs is enough. And sometimes I wonder, and I could be wrong, but is it hard for them, excuse me, is it hard for them to get up for games? And are they just playing to get to the playoffs to try to win another ring? Sometimes, because you see it with basketball, right? You see teams just gliding through the regular season to get to the playoffs. I wonder with the Chiefs and the Eagles sometimes if that's they've had so much success if they feel that way sometimes. But it's really hard in the NFL to just flip a switch unless you're the Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah, and I think with the Eagles offensively, it's the same questions coming up all the way through as well. It's not just like one-time things. And look, I'm really against like kind of like the diva wide receiver trope. Like I don't think it's I think if you put yeah, Eman Salu. I put it up and sorry. It's salute. Sorry, it's salute. I said salut as in like hello in French. I don't know why. I thought it was David before, but my bad. Sorry. Yeah, the interior offensive line against the Raiders is particularly bad. But Jay, yeah, the Eagles in terms of the questions, it's the same questions that are getting answered over and over again. Like, and now they're in the building, and it's a lot in the building as well. It's a lot in the building with the Eagles and with Jalen Hurts especially. We're not playing the way that we talk about during the week. We don't come and we don't play that way in the games. Jalen Hurts will not throw it into tight windows, apparently. Like, that's what's coming out now as well. Like, that's being leaked. It's AJ Brown saying, don't select me in fantasy. Like, we're not getting the thing. I don't believe it's like diva wide receiver. I don't think it's great to hear. We
really appreciate that. And I just want to let you know there, William, I have a true belief that Kyler Murray's on the way this offseason, so you might get better at quarterback.
I actually like the Raiders from a building. Like, for the Raiders would be one of the most fun teams to go in and be the GM of and build out from there, I think. So I wouldn't be too worried. But thanks for the subscribe. Everybody else, take that notice to hit the subscribe button, whether you're new to the channel or not. But Jalen Hurts, Jay, the noise inside the building for the Eagles has to start become troubling at some point. And isn't this Nick Sirianni's job to, like, isn't he meant to be this man management guru and this culture setting guru? Like, he doesn't defensive play call. He doesn't offensive play call. Like, why is this noise coming out?
There's noise out the Eagles locker room every year. And it's usually AJ Brown being upset with his usage. So like we've talked about, there's nothing you can do yet this season. We talked about it before the trade deadline. No matter what, you guys are married to each other for this year. Go out there, try to win a Super Bowl. And if you want to move on in the offseason, then Howie will figure out some wild shit. And he'll probably get fucking Jamar Chase. Who fucking knows with Howie, right? Like, to come in.
Yeah.
He'll figure out something, or he'll end up with George Pickens. All right, I just did that to sting Maddie a little bit.
So horrible, man. Why say that?
Just to sting you a little.
He's already got Jalen Phillips, who's apparently fucking the second coming of LT as soon as he gets to the Eagles, having shown none of that in Miami. Yeah,
I don't know why Jair Alexander did his little retirement, because that motherfucker would have been a Pro Bowler by now again, right? Like, how he figures it out. And it's funny, you're a Cowboys fan, so you have this disdain for the Eagles. I can't really stand the Eagles because of the game after the Minnesota Miracle. But I always end up being the Eagles defender on the show, so I sound like I'm an Eagles fan by the time it's done.
I just want to say I love Howie Roseman, and I do think it is Nick Sirianni's job to do this kind of stuff. Like there shouldn't be this much noise coming out of the Eagles locker room. There is and look, Jason Kelsey's saying on his podcast that he's hearing it coming out from multiple people as well. Lane Johnson's made comments as well. It's not just AJ Brown, but I think this is what makes
this year.
Yeah, I also think it is what makes the Eagles great, to be honest. I think the Eagles, I hate them because I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I think I would hate them if I was any other fan as well. I think their fan base is the most vile as well. Person to person is fine, but when they're in a collective, when they're in a flock of Eagles, they're a lot, to come up with and stuff like that as well. It's just what makes them who they are, and the bitching and the complaining in the locker room fits that vibe entirely as well.
Well, the thing too with the Eagles, let's go back to their Super Bowl with Carson Wentz being injured, and Big Dick Nick comes in, wins a Super Bowl. A lot of bullshit coming out of that locker room because there was a split between Nick and Carson Wentz in the locker room, and they had sides in there. Then they win the Super Bowl with Jalen Hurts. All the A.J. Brown bitching before, in the middle of the year. The people asking, is Jalen Hurts good enough? You're right. This is just some Eagle shit that happened. This is some Philly shit.
Yeah.
We really appreciate you, William.
Yeah, cheers. Yeah, it is definitely some Eagle shit. And look, they're going to fucking win a Super Bowl. I'm going to have to cry in my room, and, the Eagles are going to win a Super Bowl. I'm going to have to cry again. I'm going to stay up and watch them win, and it's going to be rough. And then
I don't know if they're good enough this year, Maddie.
I fucking hope not. But Jay, the Denver Broncos went up against the Kansas City Chiefs and came out with the win. A huge win for Bo Nix and the Denver Broncos, and huge ramifications for the Kansas City Chiefs here. Jay, is Patrick Mahomes having his worst season in the NFL this year?
Yeah, they're not playing as good as we expect them to. But this is the game, Maddie. If you're not going to bitch about this one, you are no longer ever in the history of the show or life allowed to bitch about the false start on the tush push. Because there was a false start on the wide receiver on the play that put them in the field goal range to win it and never got called. So, this can go back to just awful officiating, because there has been some pretty egregious Eagles plays in the last couple of weeks, which really pissed me off, because after I defend them, they have to go make two of the most egregious ones and then get away with it. So then I have to be like, well, those were just fucking horrible. But I don't know. I have a real problem with the officiating this year, and I'm really getting sick of officials.
There was a PI call on Zach Moss this game as well. That wasn't called. That got the Chiefs down the field. That was
penalty plus the Lions PI. Game.
Yeah, there was a mad one in the Lions game. There was some real bullshit PI. I was trying to avoid bitching about the refs because it's just it's just completely
redundant.
Yeah, it's just completely redundant. But it's just shit that happens, and there's no reason for it to happen. It was easier to accept that shit happens and everything evens out throughout the season when there was reasons for it to happen. Like, we didn't have 100 cameras in the stadium with HD imagery so that we can see every single play, and instant connectivity to an office in New York so we can have exactly the same play calls on exactly the same plays. At this point, there's no excuse. Use the technology, get the call right, and move on. And all the procedure bullshit, just get rid of it. Just get the call right, and then we'll just move on, and that's fine. Because even the guy who's like the Fox guy who is meant to be on the side of the referees or whatever, who comes on and says, this isn't a penalty. Like, this isn't a penalty, and it's,
I think Fox
this is a penalty.
Blandino.
This is a penalty. Yeah, exactly. It's like, this is a penalty. This isn't a penalty. And he ends up disagreeing with the refs. And it's just like, well, fucking, like, what are we doing then? But yeah, there was a crazy false start in this game. But Jay, Patrick Mahomes throws a key interception at the end of this game when the Chiefs have a chance to drive down and end the game. He also takes that huge sack on 3rd and 10, which is just not what he ends up doing. The Denver Broncos fooled him into taking a sack there that he shouldn't have taken. But Jay, he's had games this year where he's thrown it to the DBs and they've dropped it. There was one game where he threw it to there was 5 drops by the defense on one of the games as well. Is he just not seeing the field as clearly? Is the offense just not as good? Is he just having a season where it's just a bit of a down season for him? Is he trying too hard because the Chiefs aren't as good as what they were before, so now he's having to play playoff Mahomes a bit early? What is it with Patrick Mahomes so far this year?
Well, one of the things is, sorry guys, I had to sneeze. This is allergy season. But one of the things is that if they could catch, they wouldn't be DBs, they'd be receivers. But I think Patrick Mahomes is trying to do too much because they're not as good as they were offensively, and they haven't found their rhythm. And I think, I don't care how great you are, when you start to try to do too much, it becomes a problem and you start compounding mistakes.
Yeah, he misses 2. I noticed early that they tried to go for it. I noticed early that they tried to go for it over the top, like early on, like really tried to go over the top, when usually they've tried to do a lot more kind of short passing. Rashee Rice, a volume receiver, by the way, picked up Rashee Rice in the fantasy trade deadlines stuff this week, so pretty happy with that in our fantasy league. Guys, if you want to join a fantasy league next year, then you can join ours by subscribing and keeping up for it as well. But I did notice that Mahomes and the Chiefs did try and take the shots over the top, and he misses Xavier Worthy twice down the field as well. Good to, thank you very much, man. Appreciate that. But they did take those, they did try and take those shots over the top twice, and he missed 2 touchdowns as well. And that's what happens when you're trying too hard, is you overthrow those guys, or he's trying to run more often and stuff like that as well. So I think the same as you, Jay. I think he is trying too hard. But Jay, the Broncos defense is fucking stellar as well. That's a big thing. Like, let's not take that away. Patrick Mahomes struggled against maybe the best defense in the league. It is so good because it combines defensive rush and defensive coverage as well. Jay, can the Broncos win the AFC Championship behind this defense and Bo Nix, considering Bo Nix only plays in the 4th quarter?
I mean, they have a good enough defense, but the problem is there's going to be a murderous row of teams you have to get through in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
We're assuming the Chiefs, the Bills, the Colts, and that's just 3, right? So the AFC is really tough, and a lot of times it comes down to putting it on the back of your quarterback. Do we believe that Bo Nix can carry a team through a whole game? I think it's possible from what we've seen in the 4th quarter. I don't know if Sean Payton trusts him enough yet. We'll see. I think they're going to go, and yes, their defense is great, and that's why I think they'll go as far as Bo Nix can take them.
Yeah, 4th quarter, Bo is the best quarterback in the league. 1st to 3rd quarter, Bo is kind of like 20th QB in the league. So you can mash that together and have a great team with the defense as good as they've got it. I heard Chris Sims. Yeah,
Sims.
I get the 2 confused. I know it's Chris Sims, but I meant his dad, Phil Sims.
Oh, Phil, yeah.
Coming on and talking about Bo Nix and just saying Bo Nix is the fucking man. Like he doesn't flinch. Like if he's playing badly, he doesn't flinch. Jay, I see the same in JJ McCarthy. He just doesn't get the same kind of love when he does it as well. Jay, you've just said you think the Chiefs are probably going to make the playoffs there. Do you think they're going to make the playoffs here? Do you surely they have to win this game against the Colts to be really in the playoffs now without having to make a full run?
Do they?
Like,
because
they have to.
You're talking that they're at 5 wins. So are the Ravens. So the Jags are at 6 wins. Steelers at 6 wins. The Bills are only at 7. Like, do we think that they're not going to pass the Jags or the Ravens? So, I think even if it's a wild card, I think they still get in.
Yeah, I think I agree with you, Jay. I think they still get in. I think they imagine the Chiefs coming in as a 7th seed. Like, surely they're the most terrifying 7th seed of all time.
Right.
Like, surely. Like, they're the
All
one
that
team no one
experience
wants
and
to play.
talent, even if they don't win the Super Bowl, like they're a team in the playoffs, you're like, I don't want to play this fucking team.
Yeah, like how good would you be if you were the Patriots or the Colts? Have like two of the best seasons like you could have, considering what you're expecting to have coming into the season. The Patriots are the 1st seed, the Colts are the 2nd. The Colts have to play against the Chiefs in their 1st game, and then the Patriots have to play against the Chiefs in their 1st game coming off the bye if they win as well. Like that would be so rough. Like you must be so gutted if that's what you're doing. Guys, we're going to take a quick break right now, but do come back after, where we're going to award our rookie MVP for week 11, our MVP for week 11. We're then going to do our overreactions. We're going to do our question for GMJ over there before moving on into week 12 to talk about Thursday Night Football and our best bets, where, Jay, we are on fire. We're above 500 now for the best bet, so we're making money. But that doesn't mean that you guys can't buy us a coffee.
Me and Jay set up the Yankee and the Brit nearly 5 years ago. And in that time, we've gone up to about 7 shows a week. And with the help of our loyal community, we've been able to keep growing. But we want to grow even more. And that's why just giving $5 or £5 could really help us out in our Buy Me a Coffee fund. And all you have to do is hit the Buy Me a Coffee link in our YouTube descriptions. That'll be on every single video. You can give £5, $5. You can give it once, you can give it every month. And what that does is it allows us to grow and even buy ourselves a coffee every once in a while.
Just so you all know, the next person to put money in our Buy Us a Coffee fund by going to the QR code or the link in the description below, the next person, the money will be going to me getting a haircut back to how good it looks in that video. Like, so, yeah. So help a guy out with these haircut prices nowadays. But yeah, you guys can buy us a coffee. We really, really would appreciate it. In our QR code at the top or our description at the bottom.
Buy me a haircut.
Jay, let's head in to our NFL Week 11 MVP and Rookie MVP awards. For any of you newcomers to the stream, we really appreciate you here. We always go live 2 hours before kickoff on Thursday and 2 hours before kickoff on Sunday. So make sure you're back for that. But Jay, our NFL Week 11 Rookie MVP, who have you got for yours?
Hold on, Maddie. Go ahead and go first. I can't find my notes here right now, so you have to give me a minute.
Okay. Jay, my rookie MVP comes from one of the teams who lost this week, and it is not from the side of the ball you'd expect in this loss either, because it is from the Arizona Cardinals game, but is actually on the Arizona Cardinals defense. It is Walter Nolan, defensive tackle of the Arizona Cardinals, in a game against the San Francisco 49ers, where the 49ers scored, I think it was 44 points, and Jacoby Brissett completed 57, or had 47 completions, breaking an NFL record. Is weird to pick a defender in this game, but Jay, he had a 37.5% pass rush win rate from the defensive interior. That's crazy. He had 4 pressures, 3 additional pass rush victories as of PFF, a 75.3 grade PFF run grade as well as an overall grade as 90 from PFF as well. If you watched that game and you watched the defensive side of the ball, Walter Nolan actually really stood out a lot, considering how many points were scored throughout that game. So Walter Nolan, a guy who me and you both quite like coming out, rookie MVP of the week.
We're usually live 2 hours before kickoff on Thursdays and Sundays. US. Next week we will be live on Tuesday because of Thanksgiving, holiday, travel. So we will be live on Tuesday instead of Thursday, but it's usually 2 hours before kickoff on Thursday and Sunday. And Maddie, he don't think your hair look bad, bro. So you can just keep it going.
You know, it's okay. It's okay. Just keep it growing out. You know, it started snowing, so keep it. It's snowing in the fucking UK already. Crazy.
Where are you?
I'm in Latvia now, but so it's snowing here, obviously.
You said snowing in the UK. I was like, where the fuck are you, you traveling motherfucker? That's what I was wondering. and anybody who's watching for the first time, Maddie will be coming live from China. Maddie will show up from Colombia. Maddie will show up from Thailand. And I am not even bullshitting. You will just have random spots. Maddie coming live. One time, Maddie FaceTimed me from the train station for Harry Potter. What is that?
No, I FaceTime you. I FaceTime you from King's Cross, platform 9 3/4. That's in London. Yeah, I did that. But Jay, we did a show from a train station platform in Doncaster once because my train broke down on the way home from London. Yeah, it's freezing my fucking arse off. That was horrendous.
Coffee shops that are closing, brothels that are making you go with staff sleeping on benches. Like, okay, wild shit has happened. Yeah. Maddie's all whispering in this coffee shop. It was hilarious. But
the hostel with the lights turning off and the staff member sleeping opposite me while I was trying to do it. I
remember the crazy looks you were getting in Colombia when you were in the coffee shop. When they would walk by, they were looking like, "What's this dude speaking English?"
There was also that random coffee plantation village where you can only get to by Marinitas, which is like a motorbike with a plywood board on the front of it that goes on a rail track. I mistimed our connection and ended up doing it from there as well. But it's always fun, guys. Make sure to follow for all of those weird adventures alongside some football. So Walter Nolan, Jay, my Week 11 rookie MVP. Who's yours?
Well, I got a repeat visitor to the rookie MVP. Trayvon Henderson, running back, Patriots, 3 touchdowns, 2 rushing, 1 receiving, 62 yards on the ground, 31 in the air. I'm impressed. I love what he's doing. He is perfect to go along with Drake May, and I am really glad they are in the AFC.
Yeah, where have the Patriots been hiding him for the entire season? Patriots fans have been asking for him all year, and he's now come up, and it turns out they were right. Patriots fans, one of the more knowledgeable fan bases in the NFL, I tend to find, and they were quite knowledgeable about having Trayvon Henderson there as well. Honorable mention to Tetero McMillan for going 130 yards in his game as well, and off 8 receptions in a career year here. Jay, our MVP for Week 11. I've kind of gone with like a series of honorable mentions because there's one standout guy, and I'm wondering if you're going to pick him. So
I did because to me there's only one, and it's Josh Allen.
Yeah, great.
I mean,
Josh Allen, 6 TDs.
He threw for 3. He ran for 3. Like, he had 40 yards on the ground. I don't even remember what did he have in the air. 317 in the air. Like, Josh Allen was on fire.
Yeah, Josh Allen went full Superman in that game. Obviously, to a fault to start with, which we're going to talk about Josh Allen when in a sec when we cover the Thursday night football game. But to a fault at the beginning, he throws 2 interceptions, one of them really ugly, but then he went full Superman after that as well. It was great fun to watch that game. Jay, I've then gone for some honorable mentions because Josh Allen is the MVP of the year. I've gone for Sean Tucker in the same game as the Tampa Bay Buccaneers running back for that game. 106 yards, 2 touchdowns of 19 attempts. Jacoby Brissett breaks the NFL completion record, 47 of 57, 452 yards for the Arizona Cardinals in a loss. Bryce Young coming up and showing a big game here as well. 31 of 45, 448 yards from Bryce Young. A lot of those were yak yards. It is important to mention, it is part of running the offense, but a lot of that was yards after the catch. And Jay, honorable mention, already mentioned once in this podcast, Myles Garrett getting 4 sacks, 10 sacks on the season on Lamar Jackson as well. So some honorable mentions there, but the true MVP of Week 11 from the Yankee and the Brit podcast is Josh Allen for an amazing performance. Jay, let's move on to let's go to GMJ, where I get to ask our resident GM of our podcast station, The Yankee and the Brit, which you should all subscribe to because we do 7 shows a week now on different sports. So you should subscribe to this. Jay is our GM for this, and I get to ask Jay a question. And the question this week, Jay, is Fernando Mendoza good enough to tank for? He seems to be the quarterback that's going to be the only first-round guy.
I don't know what we're going to get out of him, right, in the NFL. But I do know he has a lot of upside at 6'5", 225. He's got a great arm, quick release. He's got very agile, very durable from everything you hear. He's highly intelligent. He's been really productive. He was productive at Cal with over 3,000 yards. I think he only threw like 6 interceptions when he was at Cal. So he has a really high floor, or he has a decent floor, high ceiling. So if that's what you're looking for, I think he's a solid quarterback in the NFL no matter what happens. But he does have some risk issues. He has some weird pocket presence. He seems to read the defense well, but his pocket presence isn't the greatest. And he always has this, seems to have this problem. When he's on the move, he's got really bad mechanics, that stuff that can be fixed. But sometimes when you go into panic mode or whatever you want to call it, old habits come back. So that scares me. But he's definitely a first-round pick. I don't know if I'd pick him in the top 10, but it's a quarterback-driven league, so somebody's going to draft him earlier than you think they should anyway.
Yeah, and I think with Mendoza, it sounds like he's a fucking genius as well. Like,
that's what you hear, high IQ.
He's already got his degree. He's got summer internships coming up for business stuff as well. Like, he's not just like there to play. Like, I know I watched this guy saying that, like, you know, all American football players are highly intelligent. Every single guy in the NFL went to college, went to university. And it's like, some guys went to college and to play football. Let's get that fucking right. Not every NFL player is a genius.
Athletes have a lower bar to meet when it comes for admissions than regular students. They can have a lower SAT. They can have a lower ACT. They can have a lower grade point average because they generate money. And don't be mad at that. People who want to be like, don't be mad at that. They are not taking somebody else's place. They are just adding another seat into a room. You know what I mean? Classes are not filled in these universities to the brim. They are they are making more money for the university, which betters everybody there, their experience. So it's not a horrible thing, but there is a lower standard for admissions.
Exactly. So not every NFL player is going there and getting their degree in loads of time. Like, you hear about these guys who take 10 years to get their degree, not because they're stupid, but because, like, you know, that they're doing it whilst playing in the NFL and those kind of things as well. So the fact he's got his degree, already has summer internships, he's not throwing at wide receiver camps, like in the thing. He's an intelligent guy, Mendoza as well. But Jay, the biggest question for me is, go on.
Wait, time out. Quick question. What do you think the percentage is of NFL or pro athletes who are college dropouts, like through their whole life, like never go back and get their degree? That's got to be a high-ass margin, because unless you wanted to do something specific, why are you going back to college when you're worth millions?
Yeah, are we talking, like, we're just talking NFL, we're just talking American sports, right? Because, like, European, you don't have to go to university. Right? They don't go. Right, okay. Yeah, ridiculously high, like probably 80. Like,
yeah, that was my guess. I would have said 80. So, yeah, and I think we're on the low end.
Yeah, but I think what happens is a lot of them go get their, like, business degrees after, right? Or a lot of those, like, you know, like the guys who are there only for 3 years go and get a business degree, like, afterwards. Like the guys who only see out their rookie contract.
Well, because they have something they want to do, right? But if you're a guy who's like, I'm just gonna follow my interest, like Pat McAfee or any other dude who just says I'm gonna do podcasting or broadcasting or anything, right? I don't think, why would you go back and get your degree unless it was a promise to like somebody in your family? Like I promised my mother I would get my degree, you know, other than that, like, because you're already rich. So it's not a bad thing. I was just a wild, weird question.
Yeah, then go get it at the time. I think it's interesting. Should do some stats on that. I think that Mendoza, just to bring him back to Mendoza, I think Mendoza is a first round quarterback. He looks really good to me. I've seen the comps to Andrew Luck. I kind of like it. Like it makes some sense. Like the comp, not the he is Andrew Luck. It's just the general comp of how he plays. Like it makes sense to me. I just don't think you need to tank, because are you realistically going to tank past the Tennessee Titans and the Cleveland Browns? The Tennessee Titans and the New York Giants at this point. Like the New York Giants can get feisty, win a game, right? They can get feisty, win a game, but they've got so many injuries. If I'm the New York Giants, I'm really being careful with Jackson Dart coming back in. They've already confirmed that Jameis Winston's playing this next game as well. So you have to tank past the Titans and you have to tank past the Giants, who both have their quarterbacks. So you don't
and if
have
you're
to
the
tank.
Jets,
you just have to trade with them.
And if you're the Jets, I'm not drafting a quarterback this year. I have so many holes to fill. I'm trying to trade back and accumulate picks.
Yeah, so the other teams in those situations, like down the bottom there, the Browns, well, they do need a quarterback, and they're probably in a decent situation to go get one. If they're in the position to go get Mendoza, they're the team that I like the most to kind of trade up. But do they have the trade assets? Like I can't remember what their trade stuff is. The Saints, well, like they have so many problems across their roster. Is it right to put a QB in for them? Like I don't know.
And it sounds like they love where they're at right now at quarterback too. It sounds like they're happy.
Yeah, sounds like it. I don't know whether they should be, but it sounds like it. The Commanders, well, they've got their quarterback of the future, and then the Jets, which I think you're right, they shouldn't be putting anywhere in it. We've got the Raiders at 2-8 as well. There's a lot of teams at 2-8 in the AFC.
I think the Raiders are going to. I believe all this talk behind the scenes about Kyler means there's some truth to it.
Yeah, I agree. And I think Kyler makes a lot of sense. But, you know, you could see the Raiders doing that. But if their interior offensive line is this bad, they should really be drafting at that position.
Does Pete Carroll make sense with a rookie? Does Pete Carroll even make sense with a rookie at his age?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm not sure what value there is in tanking. The actual answer is go and trade with whatever team's in the position that you want to trade with. If he's your guy, like go get the Falcons. I know it sounds dumb, but Penix is injured again. Like Penix is injured again and doesn't look good, and still doesn't look good when he's not injured. And Kirk Cousins is currently operating with a squirt gun as his arm. Like, so like it's time to just compile that. Like, don't compile the mistake by sticking with it. They could go get him, you know, if they're not going to get in the Kyler Murray sweepstakes as well. So you don't need to tank for Mendoza. So he's good enough to go in the first round, but you don't need to tank for him. Jay, let's move on from Fernando Mendoza. I'm sure we'll speak.
I'm ready for this one
in the off season. Jay, your favorite segment that we do. This is our NFL Week 11 overreactions. Jay, what is your overreaction this week?
Boston, your dynasty is back. The Patriots are back. The AFC better watch out for the next decade.
Terrifying. And this time they've come back likable, which is really fucking annoying.
Yeah, but they were likable at first with Brady too. So the thing is, likable stops being likable when you win too much. Everybody used to love the Chiefs. Now everybody hates them some Chiefs.
I don't hate the Chiefs because I can accept greatness. But
me too. I like greatness.
Yeah, I'm okay with greatness. But the Patriots with Bill Belichick, like, and Tom Brady, you know, like, and all the stuff around it is hard to like. But yeah, I agree with you, Jay. What does dynasty mean though to you? Like, how many Super Bowls do you have to win for it to be a dynasty?
3 in 10 years. I just made up a number. Right. I just made that up too.
I like it. If that's your parameters, then I get it. Jay, my overreaction is again to do with the Bengals. I feel like the Bengals seem to pop up in this slot a lot for me for the overreactions. Jay, the Bengals would be fucking stupid to bring back Joe Burrow this season. They would be so dumb.
You know, they
back.
said he might play this week.
Yeah, it's fucking idiotic. Let's bring him back against the Patriots. I'm sorry, is Joe Flacco like not putting up 40 points a game? You're still losing, and your offensive line is still terrible. Which would guarantee Joe Burrow gets killed again. Like,
I don't think he's playing
here. Yeah, I don't think so. But
I think they're playing games, so they have to prepare for both.
Yeah, but it's like if they're scheduling him for next week, the chances are they're probably scheduling him to play soon. And I just think, right, let's just sit Joe Burrow to next year at this point.
Maybe they're just playing coy because they have 21 days to let you know what they're actually doing. So every week that they make you worry about Burrow, you don't get to focus as much on Flacco. I don't know. It could be one of those every little bit of an edge type thing.
Yeah, I just think they'd be fucking stupid.
I agree with you. I agree. We'll get to that too in our best bets.
The only reason you bring him back is to sell season tickets next year.
Yeah, but those fans aren't stupid. They know he'll be back next year, and I agree with you.
Exactly.
But if you risk him this year and he gets merged for next year, your ticket sales are going to die.
Exactly. Like, is it not better to just have him next year for the season ticket sales than to get them excited this year? But the Bengals, but they'll do it. You know, it's the Bengals. They'll put him out there. Jay, week 11 is in the books. We're done. Thanks very much, week 11. Great week of football. Awesome week. That was a great one. Cheers, week 11. We're now moving on to week 12, and it is Thursday night football, and we'll finish off with our week 12 best bets. Jay, in like an hour's time now, the Houston Texans will kick off against the Buffalo Bills. The Buffalo Bills are 5.5-point favorites. Jay, what did you make of Josh Allen's performance against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? We've already spoken about it, saying it was a great performance, but I swear as I was watching that game, I thought Josh Allen was having a terrible game. And then I looked up and he'd scored 6 touchdowns, throwing 3 and running 3. I don't know what to make of that game from Josh Allen at all. It was amazing, but I'm confused.
It's one of those games where it's a close game. Teams are battling, as in like back in, not necessarily at the scoreboard by the end, right? But teams are battling. They're going back and forth. And the greatest player on the field says, hold my beer and watch this. I got you guys. And he just goes the fuck off. And that is what happened. Josh Allen, there's no argument that he's a great player. We can nitpick some of his play decisions. We can beat up on the Buffalo Bills for some of their decisions with the players they put around them. But the fact is, he's a great player, and he just did some great player shit, right? Like, you've seen games like this from Patrick Mahomes or Aaron Rodgers back in the day. Like, you see this. Greatness just comes out sometimes, and we witnessed it. And I hit you guys up in the middle of that game, and I'm like, this game is so entertaining. And I swear as soon as I said that, they just started to pull the fuck away.
Yeah, they just, like, I really did feel like my best, like, did I best bet the Bills? I think I did. No, I best bet the Bucks, sorry. Like, I best bet the Bucks. Oh, I didn't in the end, but I was very much saying that the Bucks should be within 6 points and that I wish I did best bet it. And I really did think that it was coming in all the way through that game because of the way it was going back and forth. The Bills never got ahead by more than a score until the very last few plays of the game. The last 2 drives, I think they were play ahead. It was an amazing game. But Jay, at the start of the game, I just thought Josh Allen is going to have one of those games where he's trying to do too much, and I'm going to come on the show on Thursday and say again, free Josh Allen.
Bury him.
Like, I wasn't going to bury him. I'm saying free him, like he's having to do too much because the Bills are not actually a good football team. And
send him to Minnesota.
Yeah, exactly. Straight swap with JJ McCarthy and Josh Allen. No picks involved.
Well, you're very nice, but I'll give you, and I love JJ, but I'll give you JJ and 2 first-round draft picks, and we'll call it good.
Exactly. Yeah, just that's your Midwestern politeness coming through and
There you
giving
go.
them a nice deal, But yeah, I thought it was one of those games where I just thought that Josh Allen was just going to do too much, and he was trying to do too much. Like that interception that he throws at the start, that's classic Josh Allen trying to do too much, not take the sack, flicking it basically for a pick six straight away. And and I thought, okay, the wheels are going to come off because he's trying too hard. But then it's Josh Allen, so even when he's trying too hard, he manages to get it together and score 6 touchdowns, and he looked fucking amazing. And if we see that again tonight, we're really lucky. Jay, will the Buffalo Bills be able to move the ball successfully against the Houston Texans defense? Put offense there, but on the question sheet, but defense. This Texans defense is unreal.
Yeah, I think they'll be able to move the ball enough to win this game because how do you stop Josh Allen on the ground, Josh Allen in the air, James Cook? Sooner or later, they're going to put up points, right? Yeah. I do think they'll win this game. The only thing that makes me nervous for the Bills in this game is their defense, right? Because they've been known to give up plays and play down to some teams, even in wins where you're like, man, that offense had to work on overdrive to beat a team that they should have beat easily.
Yeah, I think the Bills offensively should run this game through James Cook as much as they can, just to give more control. Because what was happening against the Bucs is they were scoring points, but they were scoring so fucking quickly that the Bucs could just come in and run the ball. And Tucker went off for 106 runs because the Bills can't run the ball. Run this game through Josh Allen. Time of possession. The Texans are going to get stops. The Texans are going to get sacks. They're a very good football team. Derek Stingley's interception last week was insane, where he stretches out one-handed and catches it. We are getting into a point, like I know it's a joke, where it's like if a DB could catch, they'd be a wide receiver. But we're starting to get to a point now where DBs are able, while they're able to catch and stuff like that. Like Derek Stingley was a joke.
It's because they're 5'11". The ones that can catch. It's because they're 5'11".
Yeah, I mean, Nashawn Wright's fucking catch against you guys. Like that's another reason. JJ McCarthy, interception on the stat sheet. If you can't tell, guys, on this podcast, me and Jay are big fans of JJ McCarthy. But an interception in the box score for JJ McCarthy. But really, he's put that ball where no one else should be able to get it. And Nashawn Wright comes down with a ridiculous interception there as well. But Derek Stingley selling out there. They're a great football team, the Houston Texans, especially on the defensive side of the ball. Will Anderson's playing so well as well. So the Texans will get sacks. They will get stops. That will happen. Control the game through the run, time of possession. Because on the other side of the ball, Jay, the Texans' offensive line is terrible, and the Bills do have enough pressure to go get them. They just don't have run defense at all.
Yeah, and we both have had some bad takes since we've been doing the show, but your take on Will Anderson during the draft might have been the one for you.
It's so
you didn't hate him. You just hated they traded back up for him. That's all. You hated they traded back up.
I felt the process was wrong. It turned out to be right. The process turned out to be right. Even if the process was wrong, it did turn out to be right.
No,
because he's very
the
good.
process is still wrong, even if you luck into the right pick. I truly believe that. But
there you go. Yeah, but yeah, the Texans are going to get stopped. So run the ball through James Cook. That just makes lots of sense to me. And Jay, on the other side of the ball, what we've kind of spoke about is, can the Texans get enough from the run game against this Bills run game, which is, in my opinion, the worst in the league? And Jay, just on that, we always say the reason it's one of the worst in the league is because of the safeties. And Bishop, by the way, has made some great plays in the pass game from safety. Just athletic, crazy plays, but he's too small to stop anything in the run game. So you just give up everything in the run. So Bishop may look great in flash plays, but the reason the Bills' run game is bad is still because of their safeties. But yeah, Jay, can the Texans get enough from this Bills defense?
It's that offensive line week to week. I don't know what to expect from the Texans' offensive line. sometimes they look good in the run game and sometimes they don't. And then they're always questionable to me in the pass game. But this is a game where they better get it going rushing, because that's their only chance of really, I think, to win this game, is to control the ball, run it, make it easier on the quarterback, on the receivers, and then you have a good balance to win this game. But if you're having 3 and outs, like, you're going to have a long day against the Buffalo Bills, because sooner or later they're going to figure out how to score.
Yeah, and currently the Bills are giving up. They've given up 1,530 yards, considering they get into shootouts as well. So a lot of teams have to pass on them because the Bills can score so quickly. You end up having to pass on the Bills. It ends up being this. I think that's the 4th highest. Yeah, it is. It's the 4th highest yards given up on the ground in the NFL. They're actually the 2nd highest yards per carry given up in the NFL on the ground, and they've given up the most rushing touchdowns as well in the league. So if you can't get run game up against the Bills, then you have a serious problem in your run game as well. And Jay, the run game, it's a great way to negate the offensive line problems that you've got. It's a great way to keep Josh Allen off the field. Like, run the ball, keep it close in this game. CJ Stroud is missing another game. He's not out of concussion protocol yet. I imagine they're being just very cautious with his concussion protocol, considering how bad the offensive line is. They've got to 500 now, the Texans, so they do have a shot at making the playoffs here. But I reckon they're being extra cautious here. Jay, is Davis Mills good enough to get a starting job in the NFL? He's 2-0 as a starting QB.
No, probably not. Like, you'd have to be in real quarterback trouble. I think he's a good backup, but I don't even think he's one of the best backups in the NFL. I just think he makes really good decisions, and we saw that through college. Now, maybe if you got him into the hands of one of these guys like McVay or Shanahan, sure. But I don't think he's a guy that you can just plug and play in a bad team and think you're going to win games.
Yeah, I think he's like a pretty good decision maker, but he's not special, which screams backup QB to me. Do you know what? He's probably is within the top 32 QBs in the NFL, but you want to test the upside of those guys at the lower ebb, because we know that Davis Mills doesn't have that upside. So it's like you kick the tires on a guy who has potentially crazy upside to see what you've got. Davis Mills screams backup quarterback for me. But Jay, in this game, do you think he's good enough to keep the Houston Texans close? Do you think the Houston Texans are good enough to come out and get a win? Jay, the Bills are 5.5-point favorites. Who have you got in this one?
I got the Bills minus the 5.5. I don't think by the end of the game it will be close. I think it would have even been an uphill battle with C.J. Stroud, and I think there is a huge drop-off from C.J. Stroud to Davis Mills.
I agree with you on absolutely everything you just said. With that being said, I'm taking the Houston Texans at plus 5.5. Jay,
so you didn't agree with everything I just said?
I did, because
because I said it's not even going to be close at the end. So no, you didn't agree.
No, my head 100% agrees with you. There's just something in my gut and my heart that says that the Texans are going to keep this close.
Okay,
I can't look at the Bills. I just can't look at the Bills' run defense and see a way that they keep on winning these games and stuff like that, especially when you put the Texans' defense on the field as well next to that. So I think the Bills will probably win. I think they might win by a field goal. I wouldn't be surprised if I get this wrong. Guys, if you're looking for our best bets, I wouldn't touch this game with a barge pole in betting. But Jay, let's move on to our best bets. It's a mad week for the spreads. There's a lot of potential blowout games here. The Seahawks are 13.5-point favorites. The Ravens are 13.5-point favorites. The Lions are 10.5-point favorites. The 49ers are 7-point favorites. There's a lot of crazy spreads here. I actually found it quite difficult picking my 3 best bets for this week. I don't feel particularly confident in any of those nice spreads. But Jay, let's move on to our best bets. Who have you got?
So starting out, I got the Patriots minus 5.5 at the Bengals. I don't give a shit if Joe Burrow plays or not. I think the Patriots win this by more than that because that's a bad team. But I still don't think Joe Burrow's playing, so I think that makes it an even bigger win. And I know Flacco's been looking pretty good with the Browns, but good luck scoring on that Patriots defense. So give me the Patriots minus the 5.5.
Yeah, I like that, Jay. I also have the Patriots of minus 5.5 in mine too.
All right. Well, my second one is give me the Browns plus 3.5 at the Raiders. The Browns defense alone makes me think this game will be within 3. And both teams have been playing complete ass. I think we will see better play out of Shedeur Sanders, but I am banking on the Browns defense to keep this close. So give me the Browns plus 3.5.
Jay, that was right there for me. I was going to take it for exactly all the reasons that you said. The Browns defense is going to be tearing up against this Raiders offensive line. But then I worry about Shedeur Sanders against Max Crosby, basically, in the Raiders defensive line. So I decided not to touch this one as my best bet in the end, but I do like where you're coming from. I imagine it'll be the same pick for me on Sunday.
All right. And then my final best bet of the week, Colts plus 3.5 at Kansas City. I think Indy wins this game. I think they beat Kansas City at home. So if you're giving me points, I'm going to take them. So give me the Colts because I'm not sold on Kansas City being a Super Bowl contender, even though I still think they make the playoffs because the teams they are fighting for a wild card spot with, I have no faith in either.
Yeah, Jay, I have also taken the Colts at plus 3.5 on my best bet as well. So we're agreed on 2 out of the 3. Jay, that doesn't happen a lot. It's maybe showing that there's not many great games in this betting slate this week for betting. But Jay, I can see the Colts winning this game, and as you say, give me the points. Colts at home, Jonathan Taylor on the run game, Daniel Jones. They're coming off a bye. I feel like they should be pretty good going into this week, and that'd really put the Chiefs on the ropes. I think they still could potentially make it. Jay, the only game that I've got that you don't have in the best bets is the Jaguars are -3 against the Arizona Cardinals. I think the Jaguars had a get-right game against the Chargers. Their run game looks incredible, and the Cardinals are just a completely inconsistent team as well, especially on that defensive side of the ball. They have a lot of injuries on the defensive side of the ball as well, so I've got the Jaguars at -3.
I almost took that game, and the reason I didn't is I decided to break my toxic relationship with Trevor Lawrence.
Well done. And it's always the hardest thing to do after they've bought you presents like the night before, you know? Like after he came out, he showed you he changed. He showed you he's a changed man. Like he made all the promises and all of those kind of things. It's always so hard. That's the hardest time to do it. I'm really proud of you, man.
And then he still beats my ass a week later. Okay, sorry.
Congratulations, man. I really support you in that. I'm glad you managed to come through on that one. But just to sum that up for you guys, for your best bets, if you are betting this Thursday night, remember to tune in on Sunday where we will go through every single game against the spread, and we'll tell you how we're betting on every single one. But just to round up, if you're betting tonight, we both picked the Colts at 3.5 against the Chiefs. We both took the Patriots at -5.5 against the Bengals. Jay has taken the Browns at 3.5 against the Raiders, and I have taken the Jaguars at -3 against the Arizona Cardinals. We're batting above 500 in our best bets so far this season. So if you're following us, you're making money currently. So I hope that continues, and I've probably just jinxed us again going into the season. But Jay, when should they next come and join us? How can they support us and send us out like you always do? Thank you so much, guys.
Well, thank you for everybody who's new to the show and been watching. Thank you to the people who subscribe. We appreciate you. There is a multitude of shows on this channel. I just went with multitude of shows on this channel. So hit the like and subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification button so you don't miss any of them. And we really appreciate you guys. Tune in. 2 hours before kickoff on Sunday, and we'll break down every game for you and the betting lines. One world, one love. Deuces.
Cheerio.